We are reporting live from the Upper East Side with your weekly rendezvous of Gossip Girl style, symbolism, scandal, and New York society. Today, we're posing the question, was Nate Archibald the real villain of Gossip Girl? I'm your host, Alexis Mosley. He was charming, rich, and morally golden. Or was he just coasting on good hair and privilege while causing low-key chaos across the Upper East Side? When you think of villains in Gossip Girl, your mind probably jumps to Georgina Sparks with her unhinged sabotage, or maybe even Blair's delightfully strategic takedowns. But what if the real villain, the sleeper agent of betrayal, was hiding in plain sight the entire time? Yes, we're talking about Nate Archibald. Nate, with his golden boy looks and trust fund charm, was always positioned as the moral center of the group. He didn't scheme like Blair, didn't brood like Chuck, and certainly didn't gossip like Dan. But if you peel back the layers of his laid-back good boy persona, Nate might just be the most quietly toxic character of them all. Betrayal, thy name is Nate. Let's start with the most glaring offense. He slept with Serena while dating Blair, who was his girlfriend and Serena's best friend. The infamous tryst that kicked off the whole series was the kind of betrayal that destroyed friendships, rewrote social dynamics, and set Serena on her spiral. But what did Nate do in the aftermath? Barely anything. No groveling, no public accountability. He let Blair take the emotional brunt of the fallout while Serena carried the guilt, while he just stood there, a passive participant in the damage he caused. A pretty mediocre best friend. And then there's the relationship with Chuck Bass. Say what you want about Chuck, and we could say a lot. But one thing is clear. He was a ride or die when it came to his inner circle. Nate, not so much. He regularly judged Chuck's decisions, but offered little support. He distanced himself during Chuck's worst moments, especially during the Bass industry battles and post-Bart drama. Even when Chuck was spiraling, Nate often chose a girl or a party over being there for his so-called best friend. The loyalty was lukewarm at best, especially when compared to the fiery loyalty Chuck, Blair, and even Serena showed each other through their own dysfunction. The Archibald effect. Passive menace. What makes Nate so frustrating isn't that he was the classic bad guy. It's that he never took responsibility for the quiet chaos he caused. He floated through storylines on good looks, privilege, and the assumption that he was one of the good ones. But being passive in a world full of power plays is its own kind of cruelty, especially when your inaction lets other people burn. From his half-hearted romances to his non-existent backbone in key moments, Nate wasn't just a neutral party, but the guy who lets things happen even when they hurt the people closest to him. Maybe Nate wasn't the villain in the cartoonish Georgina Sparks sense, but in a show full of power-hungry schemers, he was uniquely dangerous. A pretty boy with no plans, whose lack of self-awareness and passive betrayal left real scars, especially for Blair. And if you ask me, if it's anything worse than being evil, it's being forgettable and destructive. Hey, at least the true villains had the nerve to own it. So, Upper East Siders, I ask you, was Nate Archibald the real villain of Gossip Girl, or just a sweet himbo in over his head? You know you love me. XOXO.